Hey Krishna. So first we're going to do a little introduction bhajan, little singing in glorification of Krishna and his devotees. Who's here for the first time? Okay, welcome. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivana Dari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivana Dari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivana Dari Gopi Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivana Dari Yashodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanacharinati Yamunatira Vanacharinati Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivana Dari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivana Dari Yasoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yasoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Tira Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Go, Premanandi. So, this evening we're going to read from the Bhagavad Gita as it is. This is our main book in our society. We're going to read from the 18th chapter. You jump right up to the 18th chapter. So maybe you could repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. This means it's offering respects to God. So this is the Bhagavad Gita, 18th chapter, conclusion, the perfection of renunciation, text number 65. So I'll just read the Sanskrit, then the translation, and gradually go through the commentary. Manmanabhava madbhakto majjajimam namaskuru momai vasyasi satyam te pratijani priyosime. Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you're my very dear friend. So the person who's speaking this is God. And he's letting this person, Arjuna, whom he's a disciple and friend of Krishna. So Krishna is actually, he's speaking to Arjuna, but it's for everyone. It's for all of us. So he says, always think of me. So there's a lot of things that we could think of in this world, right? Billions of things. Trillions of things we could think of. So to think of Krishna, to think of God, is very auspicious. And it's very pleasing to God, and it's also pleasing to ourselves, because we get purified by thinking of God, because God is the most pure, right? So by thinking of that most pure person, we also become pure. Then he says, become my devotee. Now, there's a lot of leaders in this world, and people are devoted to these leaders. Devotees, sometimes rock groups and presidents and prime ministers and kings, but to be devoted to God is the best way to show our devotion, to be devoted to God. So we're going to read this commentary by our founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada. He says, the most confidential part of knowledge is that one should become a pure devotee of Krishna, God, and always think of Him and act for Him. One should not become an official meditator. Life should be so molded that one will always have the chance to think of Krishna. One should always act in such a way that all his daily activities are in connection with Krishna. He should arrange his life in such a way that throughout the 24 hours he cannot but think of Krishna. And the Lord's promise is that anyone who is in such pure Krishna consciousness will certainly return to the abode of Krishna, where he will be engaged in the association of Krishna face to face. Not long ago I was speaking to a Christian, and we were having a nice discussion. And it came to the point where I explained to him that God's a person. You can have a relationship with God. You could speak to God. You can embrace God. And he was like, he was shocked. You never hear that. But God is a person. Even in the Bible it said man was created by the image of God. Image means form. So God has a form. Now He doesn't have a form like us. His body doesn't get old and wrinkled. You never see there's many pictures, we have many pictures of Krishna. You never see a picture of Krishna where he's old and wrinkled, with a cane. No. He's very attractive. He doesn't get old, doesn't get disease. He's the most amazing person. And in the Bhagavad Gita also, Kṛṣṇa explains how to think of God, how to think of Krishna. He says, Kaving pranam anusasataram. We should think of God as He who knows everything. Just like there's a person on this planet who has the highest IQ. He's sitting over there, Devotee Prabhu. No. Actually, he's more intelligent than the person who has the highest IQ here on the planet. And he has about an IQ of about 300. This person has the highest IQ. It's high, very high IQ. But he makes mistakes. God doesn't make mistakes. He has the highest IQ. Very intelligent, extremely intelligent. It's even mentioned that Vedaham samitichani vartamanani charjan vivishyami chibutani mamtavedana Kṛṣṇa. He says, I know everything that's happened in the past. That's a lot. I know everything that's going to happen in the future. That's also a lot. And I know everything that's happening right now, everywhere. That's God. Sometimes people say that I'm God. A lot of people think that on this planet right now, all over. People think they're God. But I tell them, do you know what it means to be God? I mean, He creates universes. When was the last time you created your universe? Oh, okay, good point. Yeah. So God is extraordinary. We're ordinary. God is extraordinary. He's amazing. So think of God as He who knows everything. Kaving pranam. Pranam means He's the oldest person. He's always existed. Of course, we're spirit souls. We have also always existed. But Krishna, he's in a special category. Yeah. The oldest person. Kaving pranam anusasataram. That he's the supreme controller. We can control a little bit, right? Like many of us, we have cars, and we drive, and we control our cars. And some of you may have children, and you can control your children to some degree, right? Not completely. And here, especially here in the West, children become rebellious after a while. So, but Krishna, He's the supreme controller. Everything is being controlled by Krishna. And therefore, we're living nicely in this world. You know, He controls the rain. If it were to stop raining, eventually, everyone would die on this planet. But He's given us rain. If the sun were to stop shining, also everything would die. Yeah. So He's controlling so many things. Param Ishvara, supreme controller. So Kaving pranam anusasatana anor anyangsa nuspreya. That he's smaller than the smallest, and He's big. He's also bigger than the biggest. Sarvashadataram achintya rupam. That means that He's maintaining everyone. Just like we have so many nice, now it's summertime, we get all these nice fruits, like mangoes. We get these great mangoes from Mexico. And now I found this Vietnamese place where you can get these fruits called mangosteen. Anybody ever heard of mangosteen? Mangosteen is such a good fruit. They're purple, about this big, and you open it up and they're white inside, but so tasty. They only get, I think they only grow in Malaysia or something like that. But I found a store you can get them here. Really, really good. So what is that? This is just a seed in the ground, and you put some water, and these trees come up, and these wonderful fruits come up. Just like we have rose apple. Anybody ever heard of rose apple? We have rose apple tree here. I never heard of one until I came to this temple. But they're really good. Just right out here. You can check it out as you're leaving. Rose apple, tasty. Oranges, bananas, so many nice fruits. Vegetables, so many nice vegetables. So this is not by accident. Krishna's arranging all these nice vegetables and fruits, and therefore we're sustained. Like there's a saying that God, He gives, and He gives, and He gives, and then He forgives. And we get, and we get, and we get, and we forget. We shouldn't forget. And therefore, before devotees, before we honor prasadam, we say prayers. Of course, it's common in many religions. It's like what is that? The Christians, they have that prayer before they take dinner. I forgot. Anyway, so it's very common that people appreciate that God has given us such nice foodstuffs so that we're sustained. So sarvashadataram achintya rupam. It means that the form of Krishna is inconceivable, and He has many forms, inconceivable amount of forms. Aditya varnam tamasaparasta. That his form is very effulgent. Even there's one devotee who who saw Krishna, but there was so much effulgence coming from Krishna. The devotee prayed, Krishna, please remove this effulgence, this glazing, so that I can see your form. Tamasa prasta. Tamasa prasta means that he is never covered by the modes of material nature. The modes of material nature are goodness, passion, and ignorance. And throughout the world, people are covered by these modes of nature. Mostly now, especially here in Pacific Beach, it's ignorance. A lot of bars, a lot of intoxication, a lot of people in illusion. Yeah. Throughout the world, so much ignorance, it's increasing. Passion, material goodness is also there. So Krishna is never covered by this. And the goal of the human form of life is to become free of these modes of nature. Everybody likes to be free, right? Just like to have in our national anthem, what is it? Born of the brave, land of the free, home of the brave, land of the free. But we're not actually free, because we're covered by these modes of material nature. But by serving Krishna, by serving God, we get purified. And then we go to the actual land of the free. The land of the free is where God resides. Just like I said, he has his form. He has his planet. There's a planet beyond this whole material creation. It's called Goloka Vrindavan. He has a planet there. And there's many devotees, unlimited devotees there. And they're all free. No one is under ignorance or passion or material goodness. Everyone there is completely pure. It's a nice neighborhood. Better than Hollywood or all these other places. Beverly Hills. It's a nice neighborhood. So the goal, again, is to become pure. It's natural. Actually, originally we were pure, but we've come under the modes of nature. Just like rain comes from the sky, it's distilled water. It comes and it mixes with dirt and becomes mud. But muddy water can be purified. There's water purifiers. There's air purifiers. There's consciousness purifiers. A consciousness purifier is this Bhagavad Gita. Just by reading the Bhagavad Gita, your consciousness becomes purified. Or by chanting this Hare Krishna mantra that we were chanting earlier. Also the consciousness becomes purified, because this is not any material sound vibration. I was speaking to one lady who had gotten a book from me, and I showed her the mantra, and we chanted it together. And then I said, you try this mantra, you'll like it. And then she went, and she was chanting. And then she came back, and she wanted to give me another donation, because this mantra is a happy mantra. It's made me so happy, I wanted to give you another donation. So if you chant this mantra, you'll find the result will be you'll become happy. There's inner happiness. So this is all about getting inner happiness. Yeah. So we'll continue here with this commentary by our Guru. The most confidential part of knowledge is spoken to Arjuna because he is the dear friend of Krishna. Everyone who follows the path of Arjuna can become a dear friend to Krishna. You can become a dear friend of Krishna. And he's our real best friend. Everybody wants to have a best friend, right? Why? Because a best friend you can trust. And it's rare, actually, for someone to have 2 or 3 really good best friends. That's rare. Yeah. And why is that? Why is it so rare? Because trust, nowadays in the age of Kali, it's rare. Yeah. Even very close friends, sometimes they turn on each other. Yeah. Or brothers, family members. Yeah. This is called the age of Kali. There's just like there's 4 seasons, so there's 4 ages. Satya Yuga is the best age. Everyone is so pure. Then Satya, Treta Yuga, there's more vice, more attachment enters. And then Dvapara, it gets worse. In Kali Yuga, this is the worst age. And it gets worse. It gets really bad. But there's one good quality of this age of Kali. Kalir doshanid hey rajan asti hodgana. That in this age, although there's many faults, the one good quality is that simply by chanting this mantra, one can become completely purified of all contamination and develop one's love for Krishna. This is how powerful this mantra is. Very powerful. So continuing here. Everyone who follows the path of Arjuna can become a dear friend of Krishna and obtain the same perfection as Arjuna. These words stress that one should concentrate his mind on Krishna, the very form with 2 hands carrying a flute. So God is a musician, and He's good. He's the best musician. He plays the flute. Believe it or not, stones melt. Yeah, if you can imagine that. He's so good. Yeah. Unbelievable. Krishna, his flute playing. So he's very attractive. There's a name of Krishna called Bhagavan, which means the 6 attractive features of Krishna. Beauty, I mentioned beauty. He's so attractive. Krishna is so attractive that there's some devotees that cursed, or not really cursed, but looked down upon the Creator because they made eyelids and they couldn't see Krishna. Now during this class, we're all going to blink our eyes so many times and we don't even notice. But these sincere devotees of Krishna, when they would blink their eyes, they couldn't see Krishna for that moment. And they just, this is terrible, we can't see Krishna for that moment. It's so, because he's so attractive. Everybody wants to see Krishna. He's very attractive. So beauty, wealth, also it's another attractive feature. If someone is very wealthy, just like if Bill Gates were to walk in here, people are like, oh, Bill Gates is over there. Why? Just because he has money. So Krishna, he's the wealthiest. He owns everything. It's like Steve Jobs, he left this world some years ago. He was a multi-billionaire. But when he left, how much did he take with him? 0. Couldn't take anything, not a dime. So was it really his? But everything always belongs to Krishna. Sometimes we think something is ours, but then it gets taken. Was it really ours? And then someone else takes it from that person. He thought it was his, and then someone takes it from him. So, Krishna is very wealthy. But what is most wealthy is Krishna, his purity. You may have no money at all, but if you have a pure heart, you're very wealthy. And just to give you an example, Srila Prabhupada, our founder Acharya, Guru, when he was in India, before he came to America in 1965, he had no money. But he was writing these books. And he had such purity, such compassion, that he was, although he had no money, he was the wealthiest person on the planet. Because of the wealth of devotion, the wealth of compassion, the wealth of purity. This is real wealth, not money. Money is dirty in more ways than one. it's actually dirty. It stinks because it's going in so many hands. And also, if you get a lot of money, then the tendency is to do things that are not very conducive for one's spiritual life. Yeah. Sinful activities and illegal activities. So beauty, wealth, strength, this is another opulence of Krishna. Krishna is very strong. It's like you think the strongest person in the world, he was able to lift from the ground over his head 600 pounds. Or maybe someone's beat that record now. It's a lot of weight, 600 pounds. But just see the strength of Krishna. This planet is very heavy. It'd probably be safe to say it's millions of tons. Billions of tons. All right, Devotee says billions of tons. All right, he's smarter than me, so he's probably right. And it's floating around. It's floating around. And this is just one planet. This is the strength of Krishna. Just by his will, these planets are floating around. There's stars and the moon and sun, all these things. Imagine how heavy the sun must be. So all these planets are just floating around. This is the strength of God. He's known as Satya Sankalpa, that whatever he wants, it just happens. This is God. If we want something, man, we got to work. And even then it doesn't come out the way we want quite often. But God, whatever he wants, it happens exactly the way he wants it to happen. This is God. So beauty, wealth, strength, fame. People are attracted to famous people. As monks, we don't watch movies or TV or any of these things. So we don't actually know who the famous people are now. One time I was distributing books at a university, and I was explaining this to a student, that we don't watch TV or movies, and we're happy just doing our monk business. You know? And he said, "Have you ever heard of Tom Cruise?" I said, "No, never heard of him." And the guy's mouth just couldn't believe it. So actually a lot of these movies and TV, it just actually pollutes the consciousness. Yeah. Because these people that are making these movies and doing all these TV programs, what is in their mind? They don't have our better interest at heart. What do they have at heart? That's right, money. It's all about money. How to get as many people as possible to watch, because then they make more money. It's all about money. So they don't have our better interest at heart at all. So we get polluted. There's so much nonsense on these programs, television, movies, and I don't miss it at all. I saw one bumper sticker not long ago. Everyone should throw their TVs in the trash. I was thinking that'd probably be good for the world, you know. Because in India there's a statement that what the Mughals could not do in 800 years, what the British could not do in 200 years, television has done in 50 years. Practically destroyed the culture. Because now in India, everybody has TV. Yeah. Of course, they started out with Mahabharata and Ramayana just to get them attached to the TV, and then all kinds of other nonsense came. Isn't it? I see the Indians nodding their head, isn't it? It's terrible, isn't it? So just finishing up this commentary here. Concentration of the mind on the form of Krishna constitutes the most confidential part of knowledge. And this is disclosed to Arjuna because Arjuna is the most dear friend of Krishna's. So if we want to reach a goal, it's good to know what would help us reach that goal. So Krishna's given us some advice here. You know, think of him, become his devotee, worship him. And in the Vedas also, it said that there's 6 things that help us progress in our spiritual journey. Utsaha. Utsaha means enthusiasm. We should be enthusiastic to serve God. I mean, after all, He is our Father. He is our best friend. He has our better interest at heart more than anyone else. So yeah, we should be enthusiastic to serve Krishna, to please Krishna. And then someone may ask, well, how do you serve God? I get that question all the time when I'm out distributing books. This is my main service. How do you serve God? Well, to hear about God, to hear the instructions of God is the best. Because from hearing comes understanding. When we understand God, then we'll want to serve Him more. Yeah? So to hear, to chant, when you hear something nice, then you want to repeat it. It's like it's also asked quite often. People ask me, well, why are you out here distributing these books? And I tell them, well, I got something nice, so I want to share it with the world. Actually, the nicest thing I ever got was the Bhagavad Gita. The most amazing book I ever read. I couldn't put it down. I read the book in 5 days. It's like fascinating. So it's nice. These are the words of God. The words of God are nice. They're purifying. They inspire us to live a nice life. So to be enthusiastic to hear and to chant. And then from hearing the message of Krishna, from hearing about Krishna, then we want to repeat what we hear, naturally. You hear something nice, you want to repeat it for others to also hear. And from that comes remembrance. We remember Krishna. And there's a statement in the Vedas that there's 2 rules that are most important in all the Vedic literatures, and there's so many, there's hundreds of Vedic literatures. So the 2 most important things, most important instructions are, always remember Krishna, don't forget Him. Positive, negative. Always remember Krishna, God. Not easy. Not easy. It's a challenge. But it's nice. The more you remember Krishna, the more you remember God, the nicer life becomes. And don't forget Him. Another challenge. So, to hear, to chant, to remember, these are some of the ways to serve God. And we should do it enthusiastically. So, utsaha nischayat daryat, we should be confident that there is a God. I mean, it's practical, it's logical. You see so much order in the universe. There must be some intelligence behind it. Yeah. Just like the sun. Nobody is in anxiety, will the sun rise tomorrow? Maybe it won't rise. Nobody's worried that the sun won't rise tomorrow morning, that it's going to, somehow it's going to explode and we won't have any more sun. Nobody is in anxiety. For how many years has it been working? Millions of years the sun's been going up and going down and sustaining our lives. So, so many ways. I mentioned about the vegetables and the fruits. Yeah. There's a person behind this. It's called intelligent design. There's an intelligence. When you see something that's designed, then there's a designer. So we should have confidence that there is a God. And try to find out who that person is. Utsaha nischayat daryat tat karma pavartana. That we should have patience. We're trying to achieve, or we should be trying to achieve, the highest goal, which is love for God. That's the highest goal. That's the goal of the human form of life, is to love God. But we have to be patient. It's not an easy goal. I was once given a class in Europe, in Germany, and I was speaking about this, about patience. And one person asked, you know, you say that the name of Krishna and Kṛṣṇa are non-different. which we say. The name of Krishna is absolute. Krishna is absolute, so there's none different. Just by saying the name of Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna is present. So this person said, I just find this inconceivable. And I said, well, you have to be a little patient to understand this. And this person said, this word patient, it's not even in my vocabulary. In the West, we're very impatient. We want everything now. I've been chanting Hare Krishna for 2 years and I'm not even seeing Krishna yet. Process doesn't work. But no, we have to be patient. We've been covered by these modes of material nature for a long time. Many lifetimes, maybe millions of lifetimes. So now in this one lifetime, we're trying to become pure, free of these modes of nature. So we have to have some patience. So utsaha nisya dharya tat karma pavartana, to engage in activities that are favorable for our advancement in spiritual life. So what we're doing right now, this is favorable. To hear Bhagavad Gita, to associate with devotees, to chant the names of Krishna, and then soon we're also going to have something called prasadam. Prasadam means the mercy of Krishna. So the food that we eat, it's been offered to Krishna. And God, He eats it, believe it or not. And He leaves it for us too. He's very kind. So what we do is we make this food for Krishna. Nobody is tasting it while they're cooking because it's being made for Krishna. And we put it on the altar here. And we offer it to Krishna. And He accepts. It's offered with love. See, the main ingredient in the food that we're going to eat soon is love. That's why it tastes so good. You'll find we have very good cooks. It's being made with love for Krishna. So then we take. So this is also very favorable for our advancement in spiritual life. Srila Prabhupada said our process is kitchen religion. Kitchen religion. Because everybody likes food. Especially if it's good. So these are some things that are favorable for our advancement in Krishna consciousness. Utsahan nisthyaddaya tat karma pavart sangha tyaga satovrate. We have to not associate with people who are materialistic. If we associate with materialistic people, we become materialistic. Right? If we associate with people who are saintly, who are detached or trying to be detached from material life, then you also become saintly. It's like in Brazil, there's a saying, you tell me who your friends are, I'll tell you who you are. As we say, birds of a feather flock together. They have any saying like that in India? Or is that about the same? About the same, no? So, association is very important. If we associate with saintly people, that rubs off. Yeah? If we associate, just like if someone associates with a drunkard, then he also will develop the qualities of a drunkard. You know, he'll start drinking and acting foolish and like that. So, utsaha nisthyaddaya tat karma pavartan sangat tyagat satovate sadbir bhakti prasiddhati. So these are things that help us to grow in our journey. But there's also things, what time is it? There's also things that can cause us to go backwards. Atyahara prayasascha, to overeat. If we overeat, then this can cause a problem in our spiritual life. Srila Prabhupada has a guru, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and he was a very big spiritual master, guru. And he had one disciple that was very overweight. And he said to this disciple, what is God going to do with your big belly? What's the use? A little mild chastisement, you know, go on a diet, you know, you don't have to eat so much, take it easy. So, we don't have to eat so much. I remember when I first read in the Bhagavad Gita that devotees, they eat to live. The non-devotees, they live to eat. So much so that I heard in France, sometimes they would have parties, and they would eat so much, and they would get full, and they would go into a place called, it's called the, I don't know how they would say it in France, but the vomit room. They would go in and they would purposefully vomit so they could eat more. Believe it or not. So, no, we should control the tongue. So, atyahara prayasa, collecting more than is necessary. We don't need to collect so much. You know, it's like this is the consumer society. People have so many things. You know. It's like previously, we used to love people and use things, and now more and more people are loving things and using people. More and more this is going through. Just like everybody has these smartphones now. And it's practically become a limb of our body. Everybody has, and people are in love with them. It's just you have to have it with you all the time. And if, God forbid, you lose your phone, it's just like, oh my God, my phone. It's huge anxiety. Anybody here ever actually lose your phone? Huge anxiety, isn't it? Huge anxiety. But it's just a phone. But we've come to learn to love these things. But the goal is to love Krishna. Then we'll be satisfied. So, atyahara prayasa prajalpo niyamagraha. If we talk, prajalpa means nonsense. If we talk nonsense or we hear nonsense, then it's not beneficial for our advancement in spiritual life. Just like I mentioned about television. Television, it's all prajalpa. It's all useless talk. Useless talk. Movies, all useless talk. And then you have these what do they call them? Chat shows. Yeah. What do they call that? Talk shows. Yeah. Just talking nonsense, nonsense, nonsense. What's the use? Yeah. So I was asked to say something about one of our great literatures in this Krishna conscious movement. See, we have the Bhagavad Gita, which is this nice book here. I highly recommend, if you don't have one, we have them in the store. Or do we have them on the table? We might even, actually we have them on the table just outside here. So postgraduate study of the Bhagavad Gita is the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is 18 volumes. And it's stated, Kṛṣṇa Swadharma, Kṛṣṇa Swadharmo Bhagate, Dharma Jnana Nabisa, Kalau Nasadhasamesa Paranako Dinodita. That in this age of Kali, people have lost the ability to see. But by hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam, you're able to see again what is reality. So they're amazing, these are amazing pastimes of Krishna and Krishna's devotees. Believe it or not, I've read all of them 4 times because they don't get old. It's called timeless wisdom. Along with the Bhagavad Gita, one friend of mine, dear friend of mine, Vaiseshika Prabhu, he has a program called the Chat. Means chapter a day. Chad. That's it. Chapter a day. Chad, C-A-D. So I asked him, how long have you been doing this chapter a day? He said about 40 years. So you can imagine, every 18 days he's read the whole Bhagavad Gita. Of course, that's the translation. And he also figured out how many days it takes to read the whole Bhagavatam? How many days, do you remember?
It's 41 pages a day per year.
So he reads the whole Bhagavatam every year, 41 pages. 41 pages a day. So I don't know how many times he's read it, but it doesn't get old. It's timeless. So they're being offered today. We have a vow to distribute 108 of these sets before Bhadra Panim, which is September 29th. Do we have 108 people here? Maybe we can cover it today. No, but if you're interested, we have, how many do we have here?
I don't know how many sets we have, but we can order them from ISKCON.
You could also order them. We have, I think we have about 8 here right now.
And some people sponsor, like one lady sponsored almost 40 sets.
Wow, we have one lady who's very kind. She sponsored 40, and they cost each about $300. How much are they?
Well, it depends on what country, but in America it's $250.
$250. So, and she sponsored all these books. Very kind lady. Oh, Marcy. Her name is Marcy. Is she here right now? Marcy, stand up, Marcy. Stand up, Marcy. Thank you so much. That's very kind of you. You're going to get Krishna's mercy for sure. You already have Krishna's. And she goes out and she distributes every day, right?
Yes.
She goes out and distributes books every day. Thank you.
What's nice about it is I can tell them the temple's right here and how to get here, you know, because I'm in the neighborhood.
All right. Very good. And I'm sure many people come because of your invitations. Very good. Thank you. And she always comes to the Bhagavad Gita class. And so also, I just want to give a little plug for Devotee Prabhu. This is our senior brahmachari here at the temple. And every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, he gives a Bhagavad Gita class right here, 7:15 to 8:30. Yes. So you're more than welcome if you're free. And it's also on YouTube. So we have a little time left. Is there any question or comment that anybody has? If not, I could actually finish that. Did you want to say something?
I just wanted to say if anyone's interested in sponsoring a set.
Give her a microphone. We have 2 coming. It's
Haribo.
on. It's on.
So I just wanted to quickly say that if anyone is interested in sponsoring a set or buying a set for themselves, you can have a set in every room of your house. But you can talk to me or Gora Keshava or Mukunda. And also, Bhadra Purnim is the full moon in the month of Bhadra. And in the Srimad Bhagavatam itself, it says that if you give the gift of a set of Bhagavatams on the full moon day in the month of Bhadra, then you're guaranteed the transcendental destination. So that's why we're having this push right now.
Thank you very much. Okay. So, it's about that time. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.